Hello and welcome. We are going to answer question number 4, November 2020, Public Policy and Administration. Part A reads, explain 6 factors that might influence public policy making. Factors that might influence. Part A, public policy making. Factors that might influence public policy making. Number 1, technological change. 2, interest groups. 3, business associations. 4, economic conditions. 5, NGOs. These are the factors that might influence public policy making. Number 1, technological change. Number 2, interest groups. Number 3, business associations. Number 3, economic conditions. Number 4, NGOs. NGOs. First one, technological change. Candidates, technological change or advancement in technology, often motivated by market and business opportunities, can affect public policy making. The second factor, interest groups. Interest groups include businesses, include trade associations, professional organizations, labor unions, environmental advocacy organizations, and cause-oriented citizen groups, and lobbies. These are some of interest groups that can affect or influence public policy making. Individuals and businesses can organize into associations, all right, thereby influencing public policy making. Then we have business associations. Now, business efforts to influence public policy and government include not only individual company efforts, but also business associations. And these associations act collectively to promote public policies in the best interest of business in general, and also in the interest of specific industries and localities. Number 4, economic conditions. Economic conditions also significantly affect the policy environment and operating context for businesses. Okay, the economic conditions. Then we have other factors like NGOs, the NGOs, non-governmental organizations. Okay? An NGO is an organization that is not a private company and does not have formal affiliation or representation with government. These are interest groups, all right? And they often try to influence private business behavior and behavior either directly or persuasion or through protests or indirectly by being influential in shaping public policy. I can also add public opinion. Public opinion is another factor that might influence public policy. Public opinion. Public opinion and priorities have strong influence on public policy over time. And relevant to sustainable businesses is the increasing public concern about the environment, volatile energy prices, and global climate change, and so forth. So this is influencing public policy through say, electoral politics. It can be through citizen rallies and actions that affect governmental decision makers. So public opinion is another factor that might influence public policy making. Okay, technological change, interest groups, business associations, economic conditions, non-government organizations, and public opinion. How many marks? 6 marks. 6 points, 6 marks. Part B, assess 5 roles of stakeholders in public policy making process. Roles of stakeholders. Roles of stakeholders. B, we are answering question number 4, November 2020. Roles, part B says roles of stakeholders. Stakeholders in public policy making. Roles of stakeholders in public policy making. The first role is known as advocacy. Advocacy. The second role is diversity. Number 3, coalition building. 4, mobilization. 5, common view on agenda. 5, knowledge capacity. These are the roles of stakeholders in public policy making. Number 1, advocacy. Advocacy. Advocacy, together with the policy dialogue, drawing on the participation by a range of stakeholders who are used to convince policymakers to address a certain problem or debate various solutions and decide on specific policy actions. So advocacy is more likely to succeed if networks of organizations and individuals join forces to address issues that require policy action and organize advocacy campaigns. Though that is one role of stakeholders in public policy making. Number 2, diversity. Some of the non-state actors are involved in policy implementation, while others in formulation and monitoring. So the broad diversity means that non-state actors are well suited to play various roles in policy process. Then there is coalition building. Coalition building, or what we call alliance building, and willingness to work with public institutions. Many non-state actors are now willing to seek new alliances and coalitions, as well as work with the public sector constructively. All right? And the suspicion and distrust that may have existed in the past may give way to constructive engagement, which should be encouraged. Mobilization. What do I mean by mobilization? This is mobilization for engagement and claim making by citizen groups. The non-state actors thrive on collective action, and one of their strengths is ability to mobilize other actors to join in a cause. And the private sector associations is instructive in this sense. In which sense? In the sense of mobilization. Then lastly, knowledge capacity. But before knowledge capacity, we have the common view on agenda. There are a growing number of policy issues which are shared, which you can say are a shared concern to non-state actors. And if you read history in Kenya here, during the 1990s, there was a common view on the need for democratization, and that provided a strong impetus for joint action. So governance, and other than that, we can say governance and poverty reduction are other imperatives that increasingly bind non-state actors together in collective action. The citizens join hands when it comes to matters of governance. We have seen in Kenya the citizens rising up to condemn corruption in government, the misuse of public funds, and so on. We've seen citizens coming together to push the government to put in place policies to reduce poverty, So common view on agenda. Then lastly, we have knowledge capacity. Candidates, the policy terrain is a terrain that is navigated by knowledge and political skills. The ability of an organization to engage in policy will be a reflection of how it deftly applies knowledge and analysis and keen skills of persuasion to communicate. So many non-state actors, especially the policy research organizations, do have sufficiently strong analytical capability for the area or issues they are working on, or pushing enough to stand ground when challenged. So these are 5 roles of stakeholders. Another role, candidates, we can say, is that in relation to monitoring and being a watchdog. Monitoring and a watchdog over public policy formulation and implementation. Those are some of the roles of the stakeholders in public policy making: advocacy number 1, diversity number 2, coalition building number 3, mobilization number 4, common view on agenda number 5, knowledge capacity number 6, monitoring number 7. These are 7 roles. Out of the 7 roles, candidates who gave just 5, the question required candidates to give 5 marks. 5 marks. Part C reads, examine 5 challenges that might affect budget implementation in the public sector. Challenges that might affect budget implementation. Number 1 is weak institutions. Number 2, ineffective monitoring. Number 3, corruption. Number 4, fluctuating revenues. Number 5, unstable economic parameters. These are some of the challenges that might affect budget implementation. Weak institutions. Now, while the government needs to refurbish its institutional capacity, the state mulls over introducing carrot and stick policy for the project implementing agencies. So weak institutions can be a challenge when implementing budget. Then there is ineffective monitoring. Ineffective monitoring. Now, regular monitoring of the ministries that mobilize large chunk of the development budget at the central level and regular interaction with project managers need to be intensified. And there are various mechanisms in place to monitor the executing, the implementing, the implementing agencies and contractors. But sometimes the monitoring mechanism has been performing very ineffectively. Number 3, corruption. This is one of the setbacks of fruitful budgeting process, because corruption is quite endemic. Then number 4, fluctuating revenues and over dependence on foreign aid. That is a challenge. Then lastly, unstable economic parameters. For example, price levels, unemployment in the country, and so on. This can affect budgetary effectiveness. There are many challenges, candidates, which we can list here, like the poor conception of people towards the budget. We can also list delay in approval of project proposal by the ministries and the legislature. We can also say another point can be unstable government policies from one fiscal year to another, inadequate finance, and so on. Candidates who are just expected to give 5, I've given you 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've mentioned 3 more challenges, 5 marks. Then lastly, candidates, describe 4 characteristics of public administration in your country. Characteristics of public administration. D. These characteristics can be discussed under the following points. 1, neutrality. 2, structure. 3, power. 4, activities. 5, personnel. 6, supervision. Characteristics of public administration. Neutrality or non-partisan. Public administration is a non-political administrative apparatus that is subject to policy direction but non-partisan. Then there is structure. Candidates, a set of laws or legally founded rules that create the structure of the administrative apparatus of the state. That's what we mean by structure. Okay? It operates in a certain legal environment. The other characteristic is power. Public administration has given certain authority to draw and implement policy to achieve the desired goals. Another characteristic can be explained in terms of activities. Public administration carries out activities that are related to the government. Another feature is in relation to personnel. Public administration is carried out by public servants who work in public departments and agencies at all levels of government. Then lastly, we have supervision. There is continuing democratic supervision of administrative activities through the executive, which directs activities within the public administration apparatus. So these are the characteristics of public administration. Neutrality or non-partisan, number 1. Structure, number 2. power number 3, activities number 4, personnel number 5, supervision number 6. Candidates were to give just 4. I've given you 6. Any 4 out of these 6, 4 marks. Candidates, that will mark the end of our today's revision session. We've done question number 4, November 2020. In our next session, we are going to answer question number 5. That is the last question in this sitting. Thank you. God bless you. See you. Bye-bye.